My name is Natalia. I'm 34 years old, and I work as an account manager at a reputable company. The job pays well enough that I've been able to save for something I've wanted for years, my own house. I'd been living in a rented apartment for far too long, and every month when I paid the rent, I felt like I was throwing money away. After years of saving, I finally had enough for a substantial down payment. I'd been working with a real estate agent who found some promising options within my budget. The only problem was my car. It had broken down and was in the shop, so I had to rely on taxis and rideshares to get around. My parents live about 30 minutes away by car. My father works in construction, and my mother is a school secretary. They're good people, but they've always favored my younger brother, Javier. He's 29 and seems incapable of holding down a job. He's constantly quitting or getting fired, always between jobs, always making excuses. I decided to share my house hunting plans with them during Sunday lunch. When I arrived, Javier was sprawled on the couch, watching TV. At the table, I took a deep breath and made my announcement. I've saved enough money to buy a house, I said. I'm working with a real estate agent, and I'm looking at places within my budget. Mom looked surprised. That's wonderful, darling, she said. How much are you planning to spend? Dad asked. I'm looking at houses around 600,000 euros. I have enough for a good down payment. Javier suddenly perked up, showing more interest than he had all afternoon. You know what? I'm out of work right now, so I could totally help you out. I could drive you to see houses. You said your car in the shop, right? I was genuinely taken aback. Javier wasn't usually the helpful type. That's really kind of you to offer, I said. I mean, I know about houses and stuff. I could give you a second opinion on the places, make sure you don't get ripped off or anything. Despite all his flaws, Javier was offering to help with the biggest purchase of my life. Maybe he was finally growing up a bit. Okay, I said. I'm meeting my agent tomorrow to view houses. If you really want to come, I'd appreciate the company. Absolutely, he said. Just text me the details and I'll pick you up. And you know what? Javier followed through. The next day, he picked me up and we began our house hunting adventure. Over the next 2 weeks, we probably saw 15 different houses. My agent scheduled the appointments, and Javier drove me to each one. I have to admit, he was actually helpful. Javier might be a slacker who can't keep a job, but he has a good eye for problems. At one house that looked perfect from the outside, he noticed something odd in the bathroom. Natalia, come look at this, he called. I walked over and he pointed to the floor around the toilet. See how the tiles are uneven here, and smell that, there's definitely a sewer issue. He was right, the agent tried to downplay it, but Javier insisted we check the basement. Sure enough, there were water stains and a musty smell that screamed sewer problems. Don't even think about it, Javier said. This place would cost you thousands in repairs. I was glad he noticed. We left that house immediately. Javier did this at several houses, pointing out electrical issues, foundation problems, or just things that seemed off. Sometimes he was nitpicky, but other times he saved me from making costly mistakes. After 2 weeks of searching, we found it, a beautiful house in a great neighborhood, perfectly within my budget at exactly 600,000 euros. The inspection came back clean with no major issues. It was perfect. I was so excited I could barely contain myself. I wanted to close the deal immediately. My agent worked overtime to get all the paperwork ready, and within a week I was signing the mortgage, euros 600,000, the biggest financial commitment of my life, but it was mine. The timing was crazy though. Literally the day after I closed on the house, my boss called me into his office. Natalia, I need you to go to London for 2 weeks. Big client presentation, and you're the only one who can handle it. A business trip right after becoming a homeowner. I couldn't say no, it was an important client. That night I called Javier. I need a favor. I'm going away for work for 2 weeks. Could you change the locks on my new house? I'll give you the keys when I get back. Sure, no problem, he said. I'll take care of it. I flew to London the next day and dove into work. The client presentation was intense, long days, high pressure. I barely had time to think about my new house. I called Javier once during the trip to check in. Hey, how's it going with the locks? I asked. All done, he said. Changed them yesterday. Your house is secure. 2 weeks later, I flew back home, exhausted but excited to finally see my house with the new locks. I still had 2 months left on my apartment lease, so I wasn't in a rush to move in. I thought I'd take my time, maybe paint or make small improvements first. The day after I returned from London, I called Javier to get my keys. I was thrilled to finally walk through my house as its true owner, maybe start planning what I wanted to do with each room. Hey, Javier, I'm back from my trip, I said when he answered. Can you bring me the keys to my house? There was a strange pause, longer than usual. Then he said something I didn't expect. Actually, I can't give you the keys right now. What do you mean you can't give me the keys? I asked, confused. Well, I've decided to live in your house with my new girlfriend for a while. You just interfere with us. I couldn't process what he was saying. What are you talking about? It's my house, Javier, I bought it. Yeah, but I talked to mom and dad about it, and they said it's fine for me to stay there. I was in complete shock. This had to be a joke. Javier, this is insane. You need to give me my keys and get out of my house immediately. He actually laughed. Relax, Natalia, I already talked to our parents. They're totally fine with it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I hung up and called a taxi immediately. My car was still in the shop, so I was stuck with rideshares. I gave the driver my address and sat there fuming the entire way. When I got to my house, I marched straight to the front door and started knocking. Javier, open this door right now. No response, but I could hear people inside, voices, footsteps. I knew he was there. I kept knocking and shouting his name. After about 5 minutes of this, I'd had enough. Javier, if you don't open this door right now, I'm calling the police. You're squatting in my house illegally. Everything went quiet inside. Then my phone rang. It was Mom. Natalia, darling, what's going on? She said, clearly having been called by Javier. Mom, Javier won't let me into my own house. He changed the locks like I asked, but now he's decided to live there with a girlfriend. This is insane. Now, Natalia, calm down, she said in that tone she uses when she's trying to manage a situation. Come over here so we can talk about this properly. I'm calling the police if he doesn't open my door right now, I said. Don't you dare, she snapped. This is a family matter. Come here immediately. I was so angry I could barely think straight. I banged on the door one more time, hard enough to hurt my hand, then called another taxi. 20 minutes later, I was storming into my parents' house, livid. I want to know if it's true that you told Javier he could live in my house, I demanded as soon as I walked in. Mom and Dad exchanged a look, then Mom nodded. It's true, but Javier didn't take anything. He just decided to stay there temporarily. He's dating this girl and needs a private place to be with her. Are you kidding me right now? I bought that house. I'm paying the mortgage. Javier has no right to be there. He needs it more than you right now, Mom said. You have to understand his situation. Dad leaned forward. Natalia, you still have your apartment for 2 more months. Javier has nowhere to go with his girlfriend. Then let him get his own place, get a job, and rent an apartment like a normal person, I interrupted. It's just for a couple of months, Dad said in his reasonable voice, until Javier finds a job and gets his own place. Then he'll move out and you can move in. I was completely stunned. This isn't normal. This isn't how things work. I'm calling the police. Mom's voice turned stern. If you call the police on your brother, we'll disown you. This is a family matter, and we handle it as a family. Natalia, darling, Dad said, using his soft voice, you've always been such a good sister. You've always helped Javier when he needed it. We're just asking you to help him one more time. The emotional manipulation, of course. I looked at them both and could see they were dead serious. They really expected me to let Javier live in my house while I paid the mortgage. 2 months, I said finally. 2 months and then he's out, not a day longer. Thank you, darling, Mom said, relieved. I knew you, understand. I left without saying goodbye to either of them. When I got back to my apartment, I had a text from Javier. Thanks, sis, I really appreciate this. I just stared at my phone. The whole situation felt completely surreal. I owned a house, but I couldn't live in it because my unemployed brother needed it for his love life. I tried to focus on work and normal life, but I couldn't stop thinking about Javier living in my house. After a couple of days, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to see what was going on. I drove over, my car was finally fixed, and knocked on the door. This time, Javier opened it with a big smile. Hey, Natalia, come in. I walked into my own house and immediately saw her. Javier's girlfriend was sitting on my couch like she owned the place. She looked about 25, blonde, dressed in clothes that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. This is my girlfriend, Laura, Javier said proudly. Laura looked up from her phone. Oh, you're the sister. Javier told me about you. Then she added casually, you should probably call ahead next time. We were about to go out. I stared at her. Call ahead. This is my house. Laura shrugged. Yeah, whatever, but Javier and I live here now, so you should respect our space and let us know when you're coming. I felt my blood pressure spike. Respect your space. This is my house. I'm paying the mortgage. Look, I don't really care whose name is on the papers, Laura said dismissively. Javier and I are living here, so these are our rules. I was about to explode when Javier grabbed my arm. Natalia, can I talk to you in the kitchen for a second? He pulled me away from Laura before I could say anything else. Look, please don't start a fight with her, he said quietly. She's just protective of our space. Our space, Javier. This is my house. I know, but just take it easy. It's only temporary. I took a deep breath. Fine, but I want a spare set of keys to my own house, and no parties, Javier, I mean it. Yeah, sure, no problem. He went to a drawer and pulled out a keyring. Here's your spare set. I took the keys and walked past Laura without saying goodbye. She didn't look up from her phone. A month passed since Javier moved into my house. I tried to focus on work and just wait it out, but it was driving me crazy knowing he was living in my house while I paid the mortgage. Finally, I called him to ask about his job search. Hey Javier, how's the job hunt going? Have you found anything yet? There was that familiar hesitation in his voice. Yeah, I'm looking. It's just really tough right now, but I'm on it. When are you moving out, exactly? We agreed on 2 months. Soon, I promise. I just need a bit more time to find the right opportunity. A week later, my phone rang. It was Miguel, an old friend of Javier's known for years. Hey, Natalia, are you going to Javier's housewarming party? I nearly dropped the phone. What housewarming party? For his new house. He said he finally bought a place and is throwing a party to celebrate tomorrow night at 7. My blood ran cold. Miguel, what exactly did Javier say about this house? He said he'd been saving for years and finally bought his dream house. Mentioned you helped him with the down payment or something. Pretty cool of you to help your little brother like that. I was speechless. Javier was telling people he owned my house and was throwing a party after I specifically told him no parties. Miguel, when did you say this party was? Tomorrow at 7, you should come for sure. Javier's super excited about it. Yeah, I'll be there, I said grimly. The next evening I drove to my house. I could hear loud music from inside and see people through the windows. Cars were parked all over the street. I used my spare key to get in. The place was packed. There must have been 30 or 40 people crammed into my living room and kitchen. The music was blaring, people were drinking, and no one noticed me come in. I pushed through the crowd looking for Javier. I found him in the kitchen, chatting with a group of guys I didn't recognize. He was gesturing wildly, a beer in hand, talking loudly over the music. I'm telling you guys, I've been saving for this place for 5 years, he was saying. My sister helped a bit with the paperwork and stuff, but this is all mine. Then he laughed and added, poor Natalia's still stuck in a crappy rented apartment while I'm chilling in this awesome house. What a loser. I cleared my throat loudly. Everyone turned and saw me standing there. Javier's friends looked embarrassed. Most of them knew me and realized something was wrong. Javier's face turned red. He quickly grabbed my arm and pulled me into the hallway, away from his friends. Look, can I explain? He started. Really? You think I'm a loser living in a crappy apartment while you live in your fancy house? I didn't mean it like that. Some of these guys are potential business partners. I needed to seem successful by saying I own the house. It's just temporary, he said desperately. Please don't say anything. I started walking back toward the living room, and he grabbed my hand. Natalia, please, don't kick everyone out. I'm begging you. It's time to stop lying, Javier, I said loudly. If you tell them the truth right now, I'll call Mom and Dad, he shouted back, and they'll take my side like they always do. I stopped and looked at him. There was something different in his voice, something cruel. He smirked when he saw my expression. I already talked to them about this. They think this house is perfect for me. Mom wants you to just give it to me permanently. What are you talking about? She thinks you should transfer the deed to me. You're older. You're supposed to take care of your little brother. I have Laura now and we want to get married. We need this house. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And if you don't, they'll disown you, cut you off completely. I stared at my brother like I was seeing him for the first time. Are you serious? Dead serious. This house is perfect for us. You can find another place. I left the party without saying another word and called Mom from my car. Mom, did you really tell Javier I should give him my house? Well, yes, she said calmly. You're established in your career, and Javier needs help getting started. He has a girlfriend he wants to marry. Who's going to pay the mortgage? Mom seemed surprised. You, of course. Javier doesn't have a job yet. So let me get this straight. Javier lives in my house, I pay the mortgage, and he keeps it forever. I understand, I said quietly and hung up. I drove back to my apartment and started packing. I'd had enough of this madness. Tomorrow, I was going to put an end to this ridiculous situation. The next morning, I called work to say I was sick and drove to my house. I parked across the street and waited. An hour later, Javier and Laura came out and got into his car. They drove off, probably going to lunch or shopping with money Javier wasn't earning. As soon as they were gone, I pulled into my driveway. I'd already called a locksmith and scheduled him to meet me there. He was waiting when I arrived. "You want to change all the locks?" he asked. "Every single one," I said. While he worked, I went to my car and started bringing up the boxes I'd packed. My clothes, my personal items, everything I needed to live in my own house. Then I went upstairs and gathered all of Javier and Laura's belongings, clothes, toiletries, some electronics, a bunch of junk. I put everything into trash bags and carried them out to the front lawn. When the locksmith finished, I paid him and locked myself inside my house. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe normally. I was finally home. Around 6 p.m., I heard a car pull up, then angry voices outside. Javier and Laura were back. "What the hell?" Javier was yelling. "Why is our stuff on the lawn?" They started pounding on the door and ringing the doorbell over and over. I opened an upstairs window a crack. "Get off my property, or I'm calling the police." "Natalia, what have you done? Why'd you throw our stuff out?" "Because this is my house, and you don't live here anymore." Javier immediately pulled out his phone and called Mom. I could hear him yelling to her about how I'd kicked them out. 2 minutes later, my phone rang. "Natalia Maria, you let your brother back into that house right now," Mom said. "No, Mom, I won't. If you don't, we'll disown you. We'll never speak to you again." "Then I guess we're done," I said and hung up. Javier and Laura stayed outside yelling for another 15 minutes or so. Finally, Javier shouted, "You're going to regret this, Natalia." Then they left. After Javier and Laura were gone, I called my boss and explained that I needed to work from home for a few weeks. I told him I was dealing with a family emergency, which wasn't exactly a lie. He was understanding and said I could work remotely as long as I needed. I set up my laptop in the upstairs bedroom I'd turned into an office and tried to focus on work. It felt strange to be in my own house for the first time, but also incredibly relieving. No more paying rent while someone else lived in the place I owned. I ordered groceries online and had them delivered. I didn't want to risk leaving the house unattended. I knew Javier well enough to know he wouldn't give up easily. For the first few days, everything was quiet. I started to think maybe Javier had accepted that it was over. I should have known better. On Thursday afternoon, I was working on my laptop when I heard a strange noise from downstairs. It sounded like someone was trying to pick the lock on my front door. I crept to the window and looked down. There was Javier, crouched by my front door with what looked like lockpicks in his hands. He was actually trying to break into my house. I grabbed my phone and called 112. "Someone's trying to break into my house. They're picking the lock right now." I gave my address, and they said officers were on their way. I stayed by the window, watching Javier work on my lock. He was completely focused, like he had every right to be there. The police arrived in 5 minutes. 2 officers got out of their car and approached Javier, who was still crouched by my door. "Excuse me, sir, what are you doing?" one asked. Javier looked up, startled. "Oh, hi, officers, this is my house. I just got locked out." I opened my front door and stepped out. "Officers, I'm the homeowner. This man is my brother, and he doesn't live here. He's trying to break in illegally." Javier jumped up. "Natalia, tell them I live here." "No, Javier, you don't live here. This is my house, and I want him arrested for attempted break-in." One of the officers looked at Javier's lockpicks. "Sir, do you have permission to be on this property?" Javier was furious. "Natalia, you can't do this to me. I'm family." "Sir, you're under arrest for attempted burglary," the officer said, pulling out handcuffs. As they led Javier to the police car, he kept yelling that I'd regret this, that I couldn't do this to family. I just watched from my doorstep until they drove away. 2 hours later, my phone rang. It was Mom, and she was livid. "How dare you have your brother arrested? You call the police right now and tell them to let him go." "No, Mom, he tried to break into my house." "That's ridiculous. It's a family matter." "He's an adult who was committing a crime. I'm not calling anyone." Mom hung up on me. A couple of days later, I heard from a cousin that Javier had been released after my parents paid his bail. That was 3 months ago. I haven't spoken to Javier or my parents since that day. I know from other relatives that Javier and Laura are living with my parents now. Apparently, Mom and Dad are telling anyone who will listen how cruel and selfish I am, how I abandoned my family over a stupid house. My cousin Sarah called me last week to catch me up on the family drama. Your mom's still going around saying you stole Javier's house, she said. She says you tricked him into thinking it was his. That's insane, I said, but not surprising. Your dad seems embarrassed about the whole thing but doesn't contradict her, and Javier's telling people you had him arrested for no reason. What about his girlfriend? Laura left him about a month ago. Apparently, living with his parents wasn't the luxury lifestyle she was looking for. I almost felt sorry for Javier when I heard that. Almost. Are you okay, though? Sarah asked. I mean, with not talking to them. Honestly, I'm better than I've been in years, and that's the truth. I love living in my house. I painted the walls colors I actually like. I bought furniture that makes me happy. I have a little garden now. I can do whatever I want because it's mine. Sometimes I miss having a family. It's weird not getting calls from Mom or Dad, but I don't miss the drama. I don't miss feeling guilty for having to fix Javier's problems. I don't miss being the responsible one expected to sacrifice everything for everyone else. My friends were shocked when I told them what happened. Most said they couldn't believe my parents took Javier's side in something so blatant. Some said they admired me for standing up for myself. Work is going great. Without the family stress, I'm more focused and productive. My boss has hinted that a promotion might be coming. Last month, I ran into Javier at the supermarket. It was incredibly awkward. He saw me first, and I could tell he was debating whether to approach. Finally, he came over. Hey, Natalia, he said quietly. Look, I know things got messy with the house stuff. Maybe we could talk sometime, sort things out. There's nothing to sort out, Javier. You tried to steal my house. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. He looked like he wanted to say more, but I walked away. I'm done with his excuses and manipulations. Sometimes people ask if I regret cutting ties with my family. The answer is no. I regret that it had to happen, but I don't regret the decision I made. They showed me exactly who they were and what they thought of me. Javier thought he could take my house. My parents thought I should let him. I've learned that just because someone is family doesn't mean they have your best interests at heart. Sometimes the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally are the ones who will hurt you the most, but I'm okay. I'm in my house, living my life on my terms, and that's enough for me.